me. Now, when I was young, very, very young, and I saw the first Star Wars movie, I was enamored with the light side. I thought that might be the way I want to go. And as I started to grow up, and I started to become more jaded about the world we lived in, I realized that I had the power to rule. I decided that the dark side was the only side. Who will follow me to the dark side? I will rebuild your world. Your universe will be better than ever if you follow me, Moff Gideon. Mandalorians have nothing on me. Jedis have nothing on me. I will be your fearless leader. How many of you want to be a dark trooper? Yeah! How many of you want to change the outcome of your lives? Follow me, and you will know what the truth is. Bring me the child. And I will squash that little big-eared bastard. He has something that we all need. He has something that we all want. And in the world and universe that we are moving toward, we will all need to have a little piece of that big-eared bastard. Follow me, Moff Gideon. Follow me. What do you have to say about that? Yes. And how about you?
Long live the Empire.
Long live the Empire! Boo-hoo to you. And what do you have to say? Just as I thought. Now I know we're all eagerly awaiting the new Mandalorian movie.
Yeah.
In the works right now, and should be something that you all have great anticipation about. It is coming soon. No spoilers. No spoilers. Oh, really? Okay, I'll take it. So we have a great evening planned for you. Really, really marvelous evening. And you know, from time immemorial, from the beginning, we love the hero. We love the person who can make the right decisions in the right moment, who can use the right physicality at the right time, we can believe in, and who we can follow. And that person, when I was a young boy, was Luke Skywalker. He was smart, he was handsome, he was physical, and he could do all the things that we needed a leader to do. So we followed him. Through all of his trials and tribulations, we found that he could represent the goodness and the light that was inside of each and every one of us. So I am here tonight to invite to the stage the inimitable, the one and only, the hero of heroes who started it all, Mark Hamill!
But Giancarlo, I have to tell you, have you seen this man in Breaking Bad? Mandalorian? He was a revelation. All I said to my wife is, where has this guy been? You are brilliant.
Thank you, sir.
Just a brilliant
Thank you.
actor.
I love you. I love what you do.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Enjoy, Mark Hamill.
Okay. So, what do you want to talk about? It's kind of boring in talking about yourself all the time, believe it or not. But listen, I have to thank all of you because, sometimes I'm just overwhelmed at the emotions that I sense when I meet you. I saw a grown man cry today because he was just overwhelmed. I've liked you since I was a little boy. Tell me that I'm old without telling me. But, and I have to say, because I don't really, it's like, I don't get to see the reactions that people have. When I saw any of the movies, you see them at a screening, you don't go with a paying audience and see them. So sometimes it's quite a surprise to see how the impact that it has on people. Well, I don't know. I could throw it open to questions, or you could shout out a topic. What's that? Joker. Okay, now listen, you've probably heard this story before. When because I used to be much more into comic books than I am now. I read them as a kid. They were forbidden in my house. My father was an authoritarian military officer, Navy guy, and he said, these are for morons that can't read real books. You can sort of get away with a Classics Illustrated. A Tale of Two Cities? Well, all right. But I had to go to my friend's house to read Batman and Superman and all that stuff. But anyway, I was reading this trade magazine, I forget what it was, where they were talking about Batman the Animated Series. Well, I could tell from the people that they were putting together, I said, hey, this is going to be a notch above Super Friends and the Saturday morning version. They're clearly hiring not only writers that have experience writing comic books, am I getting upstaged by the dogs again? But I said, this is going to be something special. So I called my agent. I said, I'd really like to get on this series. I'd done one series when I was a teenager, an animated series, Genie, which was based on I Dream of Genie. But then it didn't occur to me to pursue voiceover animation. I went to Broadway to try and get character parts I wasn't getting on film, when I realized, in retrospect, the greatest avenue for character parts are in animation, because they cast with their ears, not with their eyes. And you get to play parts that you never get to play on camera. In fact, I do dialects, but pretty much the only person allowed to do dialects on film is Meryl Streep. It's an unwritten law. And they keep hiring like Australians and English people to play Superman and Batman. I said, do we go to your country and try and play Sherlock Holmes? Cut that out. Hire Americans. But so they said, okay, you have an audition, and they set the time and date and everything. I have to put it in context. This was within a month or two of Michael Keaton being announced as Batman in the Tim Burton film. And at the time, all the comic book nerds just freaked out. He can't be Batman, he's Mr. Mom, he's a comedy actor, without having ever seen him, right? But it was a big backlash. So I only tell this story to put it in context, because when they said they wanted you to read for the Joker, because I said, I'd rather, do a villain that's never been done either on the Adam West show, Two-Face, Clayface, Ra's al Ghul. I don't know that I want to try and do something that's been done before. But they said, well, do you want the audition or not? I said, sure, I'll do it. And one thing what happens is when you audition for something, sometimes your desire to get the part can throw off your timing. They sense a neediness or a slight sense of desperation. I tell young actors, even if you act like you don't want it, be aloof. The aloofer the better, as they said in Sweet Charity. And when I went in, I was following this wave of anti-Michael Keaton. So I thought to myself, well, if they freak out that Mr. Mom is Batman, how are they going to feel about Luke Skywalker being the Joker? They're going to think that's a good idea? Maybe. So I knew I couldn't get the part. So I was completely relaxed. I knew I couldn't get it. I went in there thinking, I'm just going to make them really sorry they can't hire me. And I went in, there was one little drawing of him in black and white, that pose where he's standing with his finger in the air. The only direction was 3 words, don't think Nicholson. Well, of course, I'm going to, the last thing I would do is try and imitate an actor of that greatness. But they had 3 finished episodes because they changed their mind about the original actor. And I don't remember much about it. Years later, I said to Andrea Romano, what was it that made you decide to go with me? And they said, oh, when we heard your laugh, we said, well, that's it. I mean, they looked at Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, they said, that's the guy. But like I say, I went in there, I wasn't arrogant or cocky, except in my own mind. Because when I drove out of the parking lot, I thought, ha, good luck finding a better Joker than that. but here's what happens. Here's what happens. As soon as your agent says, they want you, I went, oh no! I can't do this. I can't follow Jack Nicholson. I can't follow Cesar Romero. And I couldn't even remember what I had done. Months had gone by before I went for the first recording session. And remember, I had to do the 3 episodes that were finished before I met the whole cast. Before I met Kevin and Bob Hastings, Commissioner Gordon, all of them. Because in those days, they had everybody in the cast there. If there were 30 characters, there would be 30 microphones in a row. You did it just like a radio play where you started on page 1, you read it all the way through once, you got some notes and cuts, they'd break for about 10 minutes, and you come back in, you start recording on page 1 all the way to the end. I mean, it's not so much like that anymore. They like to record you separately so they can micromanage every syllable. And it's at a disadvantage because, like musicians know, you really play off the other people's rhythms and styles. Somebody will say a line where, oh, I didn't expect them to say it that way, and then you react to how they deliver the line. So I'm driving in for the first session, and I couldn't remember anything about, did I sound like this? Did I sound like this? How did I sound like? How did I laugh? And of course, in Los Angeles, if you see a single person behind the wheel laughing hysterically, it's just another Thursday. And when I got in there, I said to Andre, I said, I don't remember what I did. I don't think I could do this. I mean, I don't know anything. She said, calm down. We have your audition tape. They played it for me. And I went, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, all right, I can do this. But it turned out to be, it was so well written and so much fun to do My agent, of course, was mad about it. They said, well, you got the Joker. I said, well, why are you upset about that? Well, we were hoping you'd get Alfred. I said, Alfred? The butler? Well, why would you want me to be Alfred? Because he's in way more episodes than the Joker is. He's in many more episodes. So they were thinking from the standpoint of how many checks I would get. Because obviously, I don't know how many Jokers, or one in every 15 or something. And, you know, that was the first thing I'd done since I was a teenager, and it was so real well written, and there's so many great people. I just assumed, and it really, what happens in Hollywood is if you do one thing well, they want you to do the same thing over and over and over again. So I was sort of typecast as a megalomaniacal villain. I did Hobgoblin on Spider-Man. I did a list of all these, but I was pretty much typed as a villain, which is fine, but I mean, like, I had to be careful not to slip up into the Joker range. I kept Hobgoblin deep and more resonant. Anyway, when I finally got to work with the entire cast, it was just a joy. And, you know, I just assumed all animation is going to be this good. Well, no, not so much. But it certainly opened up a career that I didn't have before. And for someone that wants to be a character actor, animation defines character actor, because the idea of a character actor is they disappear into the role and you don't see the face so much as you see the character. Well, animation does that for you. You don't see the face, and you hear the voice meld into the character. So I thought, well, what a waste of time, because I mean, Genie was like in 72, and I think Batman was 94, but I mean, it was 20 years of lost time. I mean, I didn't even know there were agents that specialized in animation. I got that first, I got both Genie and Batman from my regular theatrical agent. I said, there's animation agents? They said, oh yeah, when I got to meet all the people in voiceover, some of the nicest people in show business, because I've done television, movies, Broadway, off-Broadway. I worked in every kind of situation an actor would work in, and they are so welcoming. I mean, as soon as, I'm sure later they said, oh, we thought you'd show up in a limousine and have a minder, you know. No. Show up on time, do the work, and they accept you within hours. And there's so many wonderful people in voiceover. I remember the first time Arlene Sorkin came in. Now, Joker usually would have henchmen, what we basically call "yeah, boss" parts, where he gives out they're going, "Yeah, right, boss, right." And one episode had Joker's henchwench, and she actually, Arlene was a friend of Paul Dini, who wrote some of my favorite Joker episodes. She comes in. I remember this so well. We start reading the episode, and we get to her, and she does a voice that's sort of like, have you ever seen Judy Holliday in that movie with Broderick Crawford? What's it? Born Yesterday, exactly. She does this voice that's sort of like vacant. She sounds empty-headed, but she's much smarter than she lets on. But anyway, when she came out, I can't do it, but when she said, "Yeah, boss," or whatever it was, which I fell off the chair. So good. And now, I don't have any casting approval, but as soon as we took a break, I went to the producers and I said, "You've got to have her back. It's so great." And sure enough, you know, when she came back, now she had a name. Now she was Harley Quinn. And the rest is history, because, you know, she wound up getting her own comic book title, and, you know, it's become one of the more popular female characters, I guess, since Wonder Woman and Lois Lane in the DC universe. And now she's done by Tara Strong. And It's just a great character, great fun, and a great oh, I see my socks are showing on. It's The Simpsons. That was a moment my agent called and I said, I have good news and bad news. I said, what's the good news? Because I'd said, oh, I love The Simpsons more than life itself. They said, they want you on The Simpsons. I said, what's the bad news then? They want you to play yourself. I mean, I played myself, I guess, on Big Bang Theory and Just Shoot Me. But my point is, when you're playing a character, you don't have to take responsibility for anything you say. It's not me, it's the character. When all of a sudden you're playing yourself, you're thinking, would I say that? Would I think that? How do I sound? I mean, I don't know. Who am I? I have no idea. But I said, okay, they should throw me at least a second character, just so I don't just have to play myself. And they did. They gave me the Lavelle, you are the sorriest bunch of recruits I've ever seen. That guy. And they later had a character that I think I influenced that, the Texan with the hat. Not played by me, but played by a very talented actor, as they all are on The Simpsons. Which brings me back to, I don't know what I'm here for.
Lego Star Wars! Lego Star Wars!
Avatar? Oh, yeah, I'm Fire Lord Ozai. Let me tell you something. When I read Avatar, I loved it. And I didn't say this to the people at work, but in my own mind, I said, this thing's going to be 5 episodes and gone. It's too smart for Cartoon Network. There's no flow. You don't go from Powerpuff Girls to that show and then back to Two Dumb Dogs or whatever it is. So I said, I don't think it's going to last. What I didn't realize is that if you write up to children, not down to them, you can not only engage them, but their parents might watch with them. And that's what happened with that show. That's why it got renewed over and over and over again. And I'm frequently wrong. I remember, what was another one? Regular Show.
Whoa!
I enjoyed it, but I said, it's got a kind of a Beavis and Butthead vibe in that it's about these two losers that are highly critical of everybody else. You know, Mordecai and Rigsby. And I didn't think that one would go. Because I thought, you know, if it were on Adult Swim and they could make pot references and stuff, that's one thing. But this is for kids. Well, 8 seasons later, I had to tell Dave Wasson, who created it, I said, you know, I had to admit, I didn't think it was go. And I told him the very reason I just told you. And it reminded me, maybe I should write a book of advice and then people just do the opposite. Like George Costanza on Seinfeld. Here's an interesting bit of news. I just heard this last week. They want to do 44 more episodes of the regular show. Is that where I'm Skips? That's Skips, right? Yeah, that one. And William Sawyers, who does Mordecai, DM'd me, you know, saying they're going to do 40, they're short cartoons, 2 cartoons make up a half an hour. So it's the equivalent of 22 new half hours, but 44 new cartoons. And he DM'd me and said, did you hear the news? And he goes, I'm just worried, are you in or not? Like, I've somehow outgrown them. No, I'm sorry, I don't do that anymore. I've grown beyond Skips. I wrote him back, I said, there's only one Skips. And he's very much looking forward to meeting again with his old pal Rigsby. And he sent me a gif of somebody dancing with joy. So we're going to do that. But who knew? I mean, this thing's got to be 7, 8 years old. I don't know why. But animation has just been such a gift for me. So where are we? Did Wild Robot, The Life of Chuck. Listen.
Boy in the Heron!
Lego Star Wars!
The Boy in the Heron!
Talk about Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
Listen, that was devastating. I don't know what level you took it at, but I mean, to me, my wife came into the bedroom. She gets up earlier than I do. I was still asleep, and tears streaming down her face, saying that Carrie didn't make it. And it forever altered, how I reacted to Star Wars in general. The heart was gone. It was just, I don't talk about it because I don't like reliving it. She was so much fun. You always knew you were going to laugh and have a good time when you were around her. Unless she was manic depressed and then you'd flee her dressing room. She wasn't easy, but she was unlike anyone I'd ever met. I remember we decided to have dinner together before we started working on the first one, just to get to know each other a little bit. And within 10 minutes, she's telling me these details about Debbie and Eddie, and so unvarnished. You're thinking, should I be hearing this? Details about Eddie's drug addiction, and you don't want to know. Because, I said, this is the kind of thing you'd share with somebody that you've known for 10 years. But she was completely unvarnished and harrowingly candid. I remember, after we finished filming, she said, there's a birthday party at my house. Do you want to come? Now, see, I was in the middle of 7 kids to a military family, moved coast to coast to coast to coast, and finally my father got transferred to Japan, and I went through the last 2 years of high school at Yokohama High in Japan. And I never knew anyone famous. I didn't even know anybody who knew anyone famous. The next door neighbor was a baggage handler at San Diego Airport, and he told me the story that he returned Jerry Lewis's wallet that had fallen on the tarmac. And I was just mesmerized. Jerry Lewis exists in real life. I couldn't get my mind around it. And he gave you $50? This is in the early 60s. He must be so rich. But that was the only encounter I had with celebrity whatsoever. Well, I go over to Carrie's birthday party, and first of all, the driveway is filled with Maseratis and all these luxury cars. I go in, and pretty much everybody was the son or daughter of somebody famous. Dean Martin's kids were there, and you name it. It was, it's like that line from Sweet Charity. This place is so filled with celebrities. I'm the only one here I've never heard of. So I thought, it's a different life. She really is royalty. She's Hollywood royalty. She had an upbringing unlike anything I could relate to. But it just seemed right, because I went over to do that movie, and we went to North Africa first to do all the Tatooine scenes. So it was me, Sir Alec Guinness, Anthony Daniels, and Kenny Baker, and Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, Phil Brown and Sheila Fraser. And we shot there for 2.5 weeks or whatever it was. And then we came back to London to start the rest, to continue on. And first Harrison came over. Now I had met him when I did the screen test. And I knew him from American Graffiti and The Conversation, the Francis Ford Coppola film. And, you know, he shows up and he's just, come on, too cool for school, right? And I immediately, I mean, I think George casts people that are so close to what he wants, he doesn't really have to, you know, deeply analyze and he doesn't want to hear backstory and motivation. That's not his thing. He comes alive in the editing room. But like I say, Harrison comes on and I'm just like, instant, I just idolized him. I think he's so cool, he's so, you know, devil may care, doesn't give a heck. Hey, I don't wear blue. I said that before, you know, I say, may the force be with you. Unless you're MAGA, then you can go force yourself. I like that phrase because it sounds dirty, but it's not. And hey, I don't wear blue. How long have I been out here? It's 9:02. When did I come on? 8:14? All right. Well, okay. Well, I'll talk fast.
Lego Star Wars.
Yeah. What about George Lucas? Oh, well, I was disappointed that he didn't direct. I didn't understand why he wasn't going to direct Empire Strikes Back, and, you know, why wouldn't he do that? But what I didn't realize was he was setting up Lucasfilm. I mean, it was such an unexpected positive reaction. He went from 0 to 11 billion immediately. And we were lucky to have Irv Kershner. Now that was a director that wanted to talk about backstory. He's a real actor's director. And we should give him full credit because, you know, Empire immediately struck me as deeper, more cerebral. The introduction of Yoda was genius. And you could talk about spiritual things without making people uncomfortable, like they're talking about religion or anything. You can interpret it as deeply or as on a surface level as you wanted. So I was really impressed with the script to that. In fact, I remember when I read the third one, I thought, oh, I sort of was thinking the plot would be, because Luke, you know, he lost a hand, he has a black glove, he's now dressed in black, and as we all know, villains dress in black, it's a rule. So I kind of thought the third one would be about Luke struggling to decide between the light and the dark, and I was reading and thinking, Ewoks? I said to George, what, are you going after the teddy bear market now? But he always wanted the idea of having this, like a really primal, primitive culture going up against the high technology of the Empire. I remember the day that Star Wars opened, the driver came to pick me up because we were dubbing the 35 millimeter prints because only the 70 millimeter had gone out. It only opened in like 18 theaters. Nowadays they open up in 2,500 or whatever. And I said, hey, can you drive by Grauman's Chinese because I haven't seen. There was no poster. There were big fights at 20th Century Fox on how to promote it, and George didn't like any of the posters. So there was no poster. They just put, you know, stills from the film, you know, lobby cards of different scenes with no poster. But I wanted to see what it looked like on the marquee, and he drives me by, and I could not believe it because I've been watching for an ad on Saturday Night Live or anywhere really on I never saw a television ad before it opened. I never saw an ad except in the trades, you know, in Hollywood Reporter and Variety, but in, you know, just general periodicals. But I was stunned. There were lines around the block. Day one, first showing, I thought this thing might take a little while to get off the ground because the hardcore fantasy science fiction lovers will see it day one, and then word of mouth will spread that it's funny, it's not like anything you've seen before, quite like anything you've seen before. But I thought it would take a while. I thought, you know, it'll build, but when we were making it, I remember Robert Watts, the production manager, had me in his office the very first day, and he said, how would you like to be addressed? Would you like to be called Mr. Hamill or Mark? I said, hey, how easy, you know. I respond to, hey, you. Do you know, to this day, he calls me, hey, you. Robert Watts, love him so much, and he's always called me, hey, you. And he said, what do you think about this little enterprise we're about to embark upon? And I remember saying, I said, I think we're on a winner. Not many people have an impression. You know, you ask Harrison, who knows? But I had a friend, Jonathan Benaire, who worked at in the cinema department at the Los Angeles Museum, and I said, you should look up the grosses for, you don't have to go back to silent films, forget about Metropolis, from say King Kong on. Look up the grosses for fantasy films up until the present day. Because he had read the script. I read it the first time, but I told this story before. I got the part, I hadn't read the script, I just read the scene I was in for the audition. So I never forget reading it for the first time. Because when I did the audition, I figured, well, Harrison's a leading man. I must be like his annoying sidekick. And the title page of the script was The Adventures of Luke Starkiller, as taken from the Journal of the Whills, Saga number 1, The Star Wars. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I thought I was Luke in the audition. No, it must have been Harrison that was Luke. I'll just read it and see what my part is. But within, 20 pages, you realize, oh my God, I mean, this is a high school kid on this desert planet. That's gotta be me. So it's seen through my eyes, which is very unusual. The standard way would be to tell it through the eyes of a 35-year-old, scoundrel, pirate, smuggler guy. It just made more sense. So they already found how offbeat it already was. I also thought that it was effortless feminism to have the princess be far from a shrinking violet. She was like telling Darth Vader off to his face. She was not intimidated by Darth Vader in the slightest. I thought I recognized your foul stench. I mean, wow, pretty mouthy, huh? And when we rescued her, she made chumps out of Luke and Han. You call this a rescue? Give me that gun! And she made us look like, the Two Stooges. I mean, and I thought that's effortless feminism, because it's not apologetic, it's just showing a woman is as formidable as any man that's on the screen, for sure. And I said, so when Robert Watts, what do you think? I said, I think we're on a winner. I said, I'll make a prediction. This thing is going to make as much money or more than Planet of the Apes. Now, I meant the original, not the one that was the remake, the one in the late 60s. So I said, if at the time it costs around $8.5 million, so what you do is you double that and add half of that to know what your break-even mark is. So if it costs $10 million, after it makes 25, you're in profit. I said, And we signed a contract that if the first one were successful, we'd do part 2 and 3. So I said, there's no doubt in my mind, we're going to make all 3. I had no idea the extent. Oh, the girls are back. Is it time? Oh. Oh, they were sending out to wrap me up. Oh, well. May the force be with you all. I want to thank you all. I've said this many times. If it weren't for the fans, I wouldn't be here. You have been so loyal and so committed throughout, not just the ones I was in, the prequels and the sequels and Rogue One and all the animated shows, Clone Wars. I mean, listen, this thing has become, I mean, I was there at the humble beginning. Remember, George called this the most expensive low-budget movie ever made. Because every penny had to show up on the screen. The only actors they had to pay real salaries to were Alec Guinness and Peter Cushing, because they were established actors. We all made it for, I think we all made $1,000 a week, is my memory. And I remember complaining to my agent. I said, wow, I'm making 10 grand on primetime TV shows. She said, hey, get a grip. It's George Lucas, it's Sir Alec Guinness, it's a feature film. I went, oh, yeah. And the truth of it is, I've never been motivated by money. I've always been motivated by the character and the property. You know, like I remember watching What We Do in the Shadows, and I said, I would pay to be on that show. I had so much fun doing it. But again, I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I can't be more sincere. I love you. You are part of the Star Wars family, and you always will be. So may the force be with you all. And good night. Thank you so much.